Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another special edition of Bar-jutsu Sports. My name is Dale. I am your host. With me, as always, is Wendy. Thank you for coming along with us here tonight.
How are you, Dale?
Living the dream.
I bet.
And another special guest joining us here this week.
This week we have Bill Collier, who, as you guys may remember, Mandime called out last week, so we're definitely going to address that at some point. But first, we're going to get into talking to Bill and just see what he's up to, what he's got going on, and then we'll kind of go from there. How's
Absolutely. First of all, I'm not sweating Mandime at all. He can call out anyone he wants. I was going to wait until today to respond to his challenge and do this on here since that's what he did. But we got the ball rolling on that already. We got a match graphic and everything. It's signed. It's official. It's going to happen April 30th.
That's amazing. I'm so excited. I'm just so excited for April 30th. But as you know, I'm a big fan of yours anyway. I've always been very, vocal about that. So I tried to warn him, and then he pointed out you're old enough to be his father, which I did kind of be like, oh, okay, but he's still Bill Collier. He's still big time. Right? So
maybe I am old enough to be his father, but all those years of experience means something that I'm still around, doesn't it?
That's true. That's very true. Much longer than most.
Yeah, he can go out there with all the bravado in the world. It's going to get him caught like that.
Yes.
That's exactly what that is. Because he's younger doesn't mean anything. Like he still hasn't found the gear that I have yet.
Right.
Like he's on any day. Like, not taking anything away from him, he's gonna be for real. He's gonna be a next level talent at some point during his time doing this. But on April 30th,
it's not the time.
Yeah, it's not gonna be April 30th.
He ain't ready yet, huh?
No, he's not ready on April 30th.
Gotcha.
So, we can go ahead and get right into it. I'll ask you the same question I asked him last week. How'd you get started?
My story's not really much different than anyone else's. You start with the love of the business. You start from the TV at a young age, and certain personalities grab your attention, and they keep gravitating you back towards it every week. And for us older generation, Saturday morning wrestling was everything.
Sure.
I grew up on Saturday morning wrestling.
That's what I mean. Everyone grew up on Saturday morning wrestling. It was a big thing. I don't know why it's not today. Like, our entire generation come up on that.
Right.
Saturday morning wrestling.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't see it much with the major promotions, but you do see it with like Ring of Honor. They'll air Saturday morning shows and things like that. But anymore, it seems that social media seems to be where it's going versus the Saturday morning program, and that's how you're drawing a lot of your fan base.
Social media is, it's the business is ever changing, and right now we're in the social media era of the business. And this may be an unpopular opinion again with the younger crowd, but I don't think it does as much for the wrestling business as the generation before it did. If you look at audiences now, like we were talking about how we come up and how we saw things. You couldn't, at the start of, like you said, a major wrestling promotion, you couldn't see the audience because there were so many signs in the audience.
Yes.
Everyone had brought their own signs. Everyone was wearing all the merchandise. They were rowdy. They were making noise. Even before like the Attitude Era, that's what it was.
Yeah. Much more interactive with the fans.
And you don't necessarily see that now. Another thing that I just pointed this out not too long ago that I think is missing from today's product is minuscule as it may seem, and as much as some people might shrug that off, the flash bulbs.
Oh, yes.
Just flash bulbs.
Yeah.
In the wrestling business, when a guy would hit a pose or hit a move or something was happening, just the sea of flash bulbs in the background made that moment so dynamic. Now our audiences, and I don't care what anyone says, like they're great audiences, they are.
They are.
But in comparison to how we come up, they're very docile.
Yes.
Compared to how we come up. We were, because that was our outlet. There was no, well, I don't like this finish, social media tweet, there it is. And now it was like, if you didn't like that finish, you raised hell in that moment.
Yeah.
Now they wait until they get to their car, they sit on their phone, and that wasn't what, back to this.
It's a lot of keyboard warrior.
Yeah,
versus
and it's like, I get asked a lot, like, the crowd's really into what you do. Like, they're really like vocal.
Yes.
They're really noise. Like, well, yeah, that's how we come up. That's what we're doing. We're listening
Right.
and engaging the audience. We're taking them on this ride. Like, if you're just out there doing moves, like here and there, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Make what you do mean something. Make everything mean something.
I agree. And I think that personally, I don't know, Dale, have you ever seen a match with Big Time?
I have not seen
Okay.
a match with Big Time. However, though, like I do follow a lot of the indie scene, and then I also follow a lot of like the lower promotions, not necessarily the big names.
Yeah.
That you have AEW and WWE right now,
Yeah.
are two big, going head to head. But like seeing, and this is one thing too. When we talk about the whole social media era,
Yep.
is the surprise element.
Yeah.
The surprise element is completely gone.
Vanished.
Right.
Completely vanished. Let's take the Cody Rhodes WrestleMania.
I was gonna actually bring that up.
Who didn't know?
Yeah.
Like, even if it wasn't Cody, like, the fact that it was like, well, we knew because it's been reported for weeks
Right,
Yeah.
that
exactly.
Cody is the possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's the Monday Night Wars when Lex Luger showed up. Who knew? Like in today's
Right.
era, you wouldn't have been able to keep that a secret. You'd
Yeah.
have known right away.
No,
And-
exactly.
That's exactly why I brought that up because, Bill, I remember the first time I saw you. We're not going to say which promotion it was, but nonetheless.
I don't mind. I'm not ashamed of any work.
Yeah,
I've
no,
done.
no. But for our purposes, because
absolutely.
we are working exclusively with IWC, and they do provide our footage. So the match we'll be watching later is provided by IWC. But nonetheless, I remember the first time I saw you, and I got so excited because you bring back that feeling of those Saturday mornings for me.
Thank you.
I have never been to one of your matches and been able to talk the next day. And you are the only one, and I think you've seen comments on
I have,
as much.
certainly
You're
have.
the only one I've publicly ever praised. And people are not, there are definitely
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people who've made comments about that. But you're the only one I've ever publicly praised because I feel like every single time you bring it, and you bring it all, every time. And I'm screaming my lungs out, doesn't matter who your match is with. It's always phenomenal, and I'm always on my feet screaming.
And I appreciate that. And what I can do is I can bring that old school feeling with an updated style that I
Sure.
can still keep up with.
Yes, absolutely.
Keep up with the younger guys and keep up with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I can make my matches like Car Crash or Spot Fest, but like I can make sure there's moments here,
Yes.
here that our audience today is accustomed to seeing, and I can also bring a style that our older style, the older style that the audience is used to loving and feeling the emotion
Right.
in the moment and feeling like, because you see like high spot, and the crowd that does the ooh, ah, like fireworks.
Right.
But that emotion of like you care
Yes.
what's going to happen next.
Yes.
That is a lost element to me. Like making the audience care. And I hate to give this guy any more praise than I do, but Elijah Dean is exceptionally good at eliciting a response from the audience.
He is.
And
He
he
is.
doesn't care what people think of him. He doesn't care that the audience doesn't like him. Because quite honestly, he doesn't like them.
Right.
And he makes
Fair.
no bones about letting them know.
No, absolutely.
He doesn't.
Yes, we learned that last week
Yeah, he
very
doesn't.
well.
He doesn't care, and that's good. And I hope he doesn't care that on April 30th I'm gonna knock him flat on the back. But he's one of the newer generation guys that is getting that genuine reaction
Yeah.
and making the audience feel something.
Yes.
Another guy is his tag partner Zach Nystrom.
Yes.
They're eliciting that response. Spencer Slade is another one that is eliciting that response.
Yes.
Which
You've
is,
had some really good matches with Spencer, in my opinion.
and Spencer is not even scratched the surface of how good he's going to be as well. Like, those are three guys that if I had to take IWC as a whole, those are three guys that I would say, okay, these are the guys you need to build around right now.
Yeah.
These are the guys that you need to come and see right now, because in a few years, you're going to pay big money to see them in big arenas.
Yes.
Again, I hate to keep throwing praise towards Elijah Dean.
Yeah, I don't think that's what this is supposed to be, sir.
Since I'm gonna
But
knock
no,
him out. Since I'm gonna knock him out.
But you know what? I mean, talent is talent. And here's the thing, you have to be the best to go against the best. And
absolutely.
while he certainly is very young in his career, and well, very young at all, because as his shot at you, you could be his dad. We are about the same age, so just saying, Elijah Dean. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I do think that it takes a great talent
Absolutely.
to go against you and be in the ring with you for them to even consider making that match. So
Absolutely, and the fact that now he's going to get a taste of what that's about. He's going to get a taste of what, you know, I bring to the table, and that level of competition. Not that he hasn't had competition before, but like, now it's time to step up. They don't call me big time for nothing.
got you. So you're saying he's going to understand very soon what it feels like to be Ronda Rousey when she actually went in for a match.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that what you're saying here?
Put your work boots on, kid, because
Yeah.
you're going to work.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
got you.
And it's interesting too that you mentioned the difference in going back to the whole Saturday morning thing versus now, where it's spot, finish,
Yeah.
versus telling a story, versus working an injury or anything like that. You see these people no-selling
Everything.
everything.
Nothing that you just did means anything to what you're going to do.
The finisher is no longer sacred.
Speaking
Dude,
Who gets up on the right hand?
Right, nobody.
Nobody.
Speaking of the finisher no longer being sacred, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet or not, but I want to get your thoughts and reactions on the Vince McMahon Stone Cold Stunner from WrestleMania this past weekend.
I haven't seen it, so please, if you have.
Very, very nostalgic in its feel, and you know, Vince McMahon's kind of on his own program there, and I can't say what's going through either of their heads, but you could see Austin was having a good time with it regardless.
He was having fun with it, man. So, Austin Theory versus Pat McAfee. Hell of a match.
Great match.
It was great storytelling from start to finish.
Very entertaining.
Then you get into McMahon comes in and does a spot with McAfee, and of course he's playing classic McMahon heel.
Yeah, of course.
And ends up winning.
Takes his shirt off, and 70-some-year-old man still looks like he's got it.
Ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, it's been a few years now, but that cover
Genetics.
magazine he did.
Yeah.
I was like, he's 70, what? Yeah.
And like you were saying, I'm sitting there, I'm watching it, it's like, boy, if Steve Austin doesn't come out right here, I'm thinking WWE really missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the glass breaks, it's like, all right,
here we are.
Yeah.
And that nostalgic, like, Austin McMahon still, like, 20-some years later, that they can still elicit that response in front of 80,000 people.
Absolutely.
And that's what we do. That's how classic and timeless storytelling is.
Yeah, I actually recently, I don't know if you guys watched the McAfee show, but it wasn't but a few weeks ago he had Vince on.
Yeah.
And it was such a good interview. Like, I really was. I mean, I do watch it, but I'm never glued to it like I think I was that day.
Right.
It was just pretty interesting to me.
I've only caught snippets of it. Now, during my drives, I'll listen to different podcasts or different things. And because as wrestlers, we're in the car. We're on the road a lot.
Of course.
We have a lot of for as much excitement as people think it is, it's not. It's a lot of time in the car. It's a lot of time driving. It's a lot of time with your family. And for me, it's a lot of time in the gym. It's a lot of time for me to put my headphones on and zone out. So I did get like pieces of the McMahon interview on Pat McAfee, and for everyone, again, for keyboard words, oh, McMahon's lost his mind. Vince McMahon is crazy. He doesn't know what he's doing. And when you listen to him talk, oh no, he knows exactly
what he's
what
doing.
it is he's doing and why.
He still has his finger on the pulse.
I think he does. I absolutely do. TV's a little different now, so it's being presented a little differently. But absolutely, he has his finger on the pulse. I tell people a lot when they bitch about the finishes, when they bitch about the storylines and the angles. I was like, they want instant gratification every single night and every single week. Well, let's take an example. I'm not a big fan of Becky Lynch, especially now, with her calling herself big time.
No, did she really? No, she didn't.
Not a fan.
No.
Not a fan of her at all.
I mean, I wasn't a fan, but still,
I'm not
really?
particularly a Bianca Belair fan.
Okay.
But if you've seen their WrestleMania match, fantastic. They sucked me in. And when it's done right, it can appeal to anyone.
Yeah.
And I was sitting back and I was, wow, this is really good. Wow, this is really good. The thing I was impressed with the most is their gas tank. For them to be able to move the way they did is the pace they set throughout the whole match.
Yeah.
But if you go back to SummerSlam and Becky Lynch beat Bianca Belair in
26 seconds.
26 seconds. And everyone was in an uproar. I can't believe that you would do that. I can't believe that you Vince McMahon would do this in the finish and da 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 da. Hold on, we're not done with this ride yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Sit down. Fast forward a few months, WrestleMania. What happens? There's your payoff.
Yeah.
Sit down, keep your hands and arms inside the vehicle at all times.
Yes, absolutely. Speaking
It's
of,
there. Just ride that out.
yes, absolutely. Speaking of matches I couldn't take my eyes off of, and this is going to be a first for you, Dale.
Yeah.
You have brought a clip with you that was provided by IWC. Why don't you tell us about that?
The Matt Justice and Bill Collier saga.
Yes.
In IWC, it was just something, believe it or not, it was not a long-term discussion. It was not something like written out months in advance. It was, okay, we have Matt Justice here. Turns out he's available here and here. What can we do? Who can we put him against? What can we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the guy, so, all right, how can we make this story arc for 3 months or whatever it was?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I believe it was 3 to lead up to the final.
So we have a match, then we do the Falls Count Anywhere, then we do the Steel Cage match. It's a 3-month arc. It was nothing, and the best part about IWC is they kind of let me and Matt Justice, they kind of let us go.
Yeah.
Let us do our own thing.
Absolutely.
But there was a moment where Matt Justice is, we're up on the balcony fighting, and there's a table below us, and I couldn't believe it was as close to what I think at our level the Mick Foley bump was for Undertaker. And again, much larger scale there than here, but at our level, how does it get any bigger than what we just did? That balcony is not an exaggeration. It's probably a good 15 feet up.
It is definitely, yeah. As you know, and I spoke with you a few times that night. I was there. I made it very clear I came only to see that match.
And we didn't disappoint.
Yes, you did not disappoint. I think I would say probably one of, if not the best match I've ever seen in person, because the intensity there was insane, and the entire crowd was up on their feet half the match.
And with the balcony being up as high as it is, and I'm 6'4", and when I put my arms straight up, there's about 8 feet added to that. So, and that's where we went gorilla press now. If we're gonna shoot here a little bit, we get there, and he very nonchalantly, how we doing? We start talking a little bit about the match, and Matt Justice is, and I don't care what he says, he's very old school mentality as well, where we'll come up with a few bullet points, the rest will fill in.
Yeah.
And I've said this privately, this is the first time I've ever said it publicly. In my opinion, on the indies today, Matt Justice is probably one of the smartest guys in the ring as far as like working on the fly.
Yeah.
And if you are not up to that level, he can and he will eat you alive. You have to know how to meet him at every corner. And if you don't, he will guzzle you and he'll keep going.
I agree.
John McChesney is another one.
Yes.
That he can. You better be on your game when you're in the ring with John McChesney.
Our
Because of
match
how
last
smart
week,
he is.
our match last week with Mandine was against John McChesney.
Yeah.
So our viewers have actually got to see him if they hadn't previously.
But anyway, back to me and Matt Justice. We start talking, and very nonchalantly, he's like, maybe we'll do this, and he's got Bill Alfonso with him, which added a ton to what we did.
Yeah.
Bill Alfonso was added to the match greatly, and didn't take away from what we were doing. He's a genius, great mind himself, but he's kind of like looking at the balcony, and he's talking. He's like, I'll come off of there, and I'm like, what? Back up, what? You're gonna do what? He's like, we'll come off of there and this and that. And I was like, all right, man, whatever you think. So it was originally just gonna be me grabbing him by the back of the neck and kind of tossing him over. Well, I come up with a cool idea. I said, well, what do you think about this? We'll get up there and, we're fighting a little bit. For visual purposes, I said, I think this is a real good visual and really get the audience standing. Because I think once we get up there, they're going to feel it.
Yeah.
So what if we're up there brawling something, I gorilla press you and start walking towards the edge of the rail? That whole audience is going to go nuts. And then you come out the back, something, sidestep, and then over you go. He stops and goes, no, just throw me over on the gorilla press. It's like, dude, no, absolutely not. We're not going to do that. And it's irresponsible. We're not doing that.
Right.
We'll do so you can take your own. So now he's a salesman all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
So now he's going to sell me on how this is safer for me to gorilla press him off of here.
It's totally safer.
Let me lay it out for you. This is okay. We're going to be up on this balcony. The table's going to be below us. They dim the lights at IWC, and only the lights over the ring are the lights in the building. We're going to have a spotlight in our faces. Ooh. He says, I'm not going to be able to see that table until I clear the rail. He says, with you can hold me up and guide me through. Fantastic. He just told me that the gorilla press is probably safer. So here we go. Boom, boom, boom. And I'll keep what was said, between him and me in that moment. But there was an exchange of words there.
Sure.
And
my life is now in your hands, something like that.
He went up and I look over the rail, and right before I go, tap him right on the head. All right, bud. See you on the way down.
Yeah.
Down he went, and when he crashed through that table, the roar through the audience was like, wow.
Unheard, yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
The next idea was, and I have mixed feelings, and I'll get to why. The next thing was, I like to do the Undertaker dive over the ropes. The next spot was me diving over the rail. Well, I opted to, again, I can't see. All it's going to be down there is a bunch of trainees. Do I want to put, my safety in their hands?
Right.
15 feet up, and I tend to go headlong after, if it's too high up. Like, I would come straight towards the ground on my head. Is that what I want to do?
Right.
So I decided to come off like elbow style. And when I jumped, and I'm kind of leaning forward, dropping the elbow, when I hit the trainees, of course they didn't catch me. What they did do was stand me straight back up. My feet come right down into the concrete, and I blew out my left heel. Broke it on impact. I hit, and I was like, wow. Sat there for a second, so now I know he's okay, because I wouldn't have jumped if he wasn't. I got the okay from Alfonso, he's good, so here I come. So I think, oh my god, my foot. So I pick up Matt Justice, and I walked him the 25 feet to the ring on my back with a broken foot, and finished the next 5 minutes of the match or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was still a little bit left.
Still a little bit left on a broken foot.
Wow.
And still, the audience was rabid over what we did.
Yeah, you couldn't tell for sure. I mean, of course you both were banged up by that point, even probably before the fall, but you definitely couldn't tell that you had a broken foot for sure. I don't think anyone saw that.
I wrestled on a broken foot, and I got it checked out, and I wrestled on a broken foot for months, and to this day, that was July of 2021, to this day, I can still feel it. It still hurts.
Right.
But there's nothing we can do. Let's keep the ball rolling. My generation, again,
Injuries are always going to
And
show.
such is wrestling.
My generation was built different. So let's go.
Such is wrestling.
Well, I mean, we've heard a whole lot about this match. I think it's time for everybody at home to go ahead and see it. So let's go ahead and toss it to the footage. We'll see you guys in a couple minutes.
Over a decade and a half, Mark, he's been called untapped potential. The most underrated big man in all of pro wrestling is 262 pounds! Good Lord! Touching nothing! And Alexander gave Collier maybe a half second too long. You're not in the face plant! Way overhead! And Deputy Dunn! Oh, the regulators caught him! The regulators caught Deputy Dunn. Look at Collier! Collier the plancha!
Incoming big time.
This will do some damage into that corner, I should say. And Collier the vertical leap. No.
No way.
Collier with both men. Oh, Mandon jumps in the pile to try to take this big man down.
Get out.
Nothing doing. That's about 600 pounds.
I have no idea. Oh, definitely, yeah. No idea. I'm just so excited to see this. This is going to be the moment of the year if this happens. Oh, yeah. He'll like pushing I have no idea who's coming off of this. Oh my gosh. Come on. Come on. I want to see this.
They don't pay you enough, do they?
Nope. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was freaking awesome! Oh my gosh!
Wow, that was
Something
sight
to
to
behold,
behold.
yeah.
that was incredible. And
Glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm sure it was better to watch than it was to actually feel.
yeah, so you talked about working the remainder of the match after that balcony spot, working it injured, you know, and that's a testament to also to the grit that a lot of athletes have, you know, is being able to work through the injury.
And I said pro wrestling especially, and I'm not taking away anything from any athlete in any other professional sport.
Yeah.
But if somebody, you know, breaks an elbow in a football game,
Yeah,
they're off the field
they're yanked.
immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
They roll an ankle, they're off the field immediately. We finish the match.
Absolutely.
Because with us, the show must go on. They'll pull an injured guy off and send another one in.
Yeah.
Like, I broke my foot upon impact. You know, Justin Plummer couldn't yank me out and be like, all right, here's this, you know,
Some other guy.
here's a stunt double. You know,
Right.
Finish it up.
Yeah.
Here's somebody else to come in, run in, and do like a run in. And
Yeah,
and
finish
close
up
it
the
out.
match for me. And then
You
now
can't
here
do
it is.
that.
No, you can't do that. And so many injuries, so many guys over the years, and we work hurt a lot, injured a lot. And it's a testament to how tough the wrestling business really is.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think people take for granted what we do when every bump we take hurts.
Yeah.
Every shot we take hurts.
And that's actually another thing I want to kind of touch on real quick before we get into talking about your match on the 30th is recently, we'll get back to the whole WrestleMania thing, Logan Paul did his first match. He talked about how there's no give in that ring. It is plywood. And every bump you feel, every shot you feel, like...
Absolutely. And different
no
different
joke.
companies have different rings. Like WWE's ring is the same all the time because they use the same ring. Like AEW is the same style ring they use all the time. They can get used to that style ring. With us, we're traveling to different places. We're hitting different rings.
Yeah.
And the IWC ring isn't as bad as some others. It's a good ring. It's a nice, like it's a good solid ring. It's great to work in. It's bigger. There's more space.
Yeah.
But some of these other places,
Yeah,
it's
indie
like
wrestling, you never know what
you
you're
never know
gonna
what you're gonna get. It's like hitting concrete. It's like, oh my god, what do you have under here? It's like concrete slabs. I was like, this is the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, Logan Paul is 100% accurate. Everything hurts.
Yeah.
Everything hurts. Like there are days after like the Mad Justice match, I feel like I was put in the back of a cement truck. That's the way my body feels.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the one thing with indie wrestling, like you said, the show must go on, you have to finish, and there's no off season as compared to any other sport. You're the only one I can think of where there's no off season. So it is, 365. So
it is, and for me, I've been doing this for more than 15 years, almost every weekend. I have never had time off, and I've never been off with an injury. The longest stretch that I ever had was the 3 months off when everything shut down in 2020 for COVID.
oh well.
That was the longest stretch off of wrestling I have ever had. So during that time, I kind of unplugged from the business completely. Didn't think about it, didn't talk about it, didn't do it, and candidly, didn't care if I ever did again.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was at that point where I was like, if we don't come back, we don't come back. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But what I was upset with was they took my gym away. You can't take
Fair.
that. You can't take that away from me.
Yeah.
So what I've done in sense is I built a gym in my home, full scale, that I can do all my training right in my house by myself, and nothing but focus. Like Elijah Dean has been nothing but a focus of mine in my gym. I'm closed in my room, and that's it. Door goes closed, heat's cranked. My tunes are on, and I'm focused.
Yeah.
And lately, it's nothing but him.
Yeah.
Like images of him dancing through my head, and that's
what I was going to say. Speaking of,
tick, 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 tick,
what
tick,
is
tick,
it,
tick.
sir, that you would like to directly say? Right here, sir, look at this camera and tell Elijah Dean what it is that you have to say in response, if anything.
Mr. Dean, if you will. I like that you made slight of my age, but at this age, I'm still better than you in anything you're gonna do. As great as you are and as great as you're gonna be, April 30th, there's not enough of you that's gonna beat me. Bring your work boots. It's gonna be a long night. And speaking of bodies, I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna punch you again and again and again. Because to me, this goes beyond being a wrestling match. Lessons need taught. Classes in session. Ding ding.
Absolutely. That is fantastic. Great way to wrap it. Classes in session is going to be April 30th, the Ross Traver Ice Center.
Yes.
Ice Garden.
Ross Traver Ice Garden, I believe it's
absolutely.
called. Tickets available at IWC.com. I think NortheastWrestling.com, but just go to IWC.com. There's links.
And see one hell of a wrestling show and one for sure beatdown.
Absolutely.
The roster that night is stacked to the heavens, so
Absolutely.
really excited about that show. And we will be there actually filming our show during that show.
Fantastic. I'll stop by and say hello.
You better.
Absolutely.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for our time here tonight. For all of us here at Bar-jutsu Sports, please drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.